Curling Community Connection. We're doing Mayoral Mondays, and we have a special guest, the third of 5 mayoral choices. This is Lisa Borowsky. Lisa is a Valley native and a lifelong Scottsdale resident. Her family moved to North Scottsdale in the mid-'70s to pursue their passion for horses and the Western lifestyle. Lisa graduated from ASU. Yeah, go Devils. And she actually went on to earn her Juris Doctor from St. John's University. Go Redmen. So, yeah, I'm from New York also. So she went to the School of Law there. She's been a licensed attorney since 1995 and primarily focuses in the areas of commercial litigation, homeowner association law, and general business. Lisa's raising her young daughter here. She's a former councilwoman from 2009 through 2013, and she served on numerous boards, commissions, and committees. I'd like you to give a warm welcome, a little cyber welcome to Miss Lisa Borowsky. Hi, Lisa. How you doing?
Great. Thank you, Eric. I appreciate you having me on. Great to see you, I guess, again, after all these years.
Yeah, we're going to get into that a little later when we play a little game. So let's talk about how this works. Basically, you're not here to endorse my candidacy. I'm not here to endorse your candidacy. What we are here to is have a conversation. So people are voting with knowledge, and you're not going to attack your opponents because they're not here to defend themselves. You're just going to tell us what's good. Okay?
I understand the ground rules as a Scottsdale resident, and I certainly welcome your endorsement, however.
Well, there's no crying if you don't get the question you like, okay? I'm going to try to keep it as even as possible. One of the questions I ask everybody, and I'll start with you, right? Oh, I forgot to say. Folks, if you're watching and you want to ask Lisa a question, please start it with a question mark, put it in the comment section, and then Andy Gomez will get it into our chat, and we'll try to get it answered through Zoom, and the magic of internet will get it to you. So without further ado, Lisa, tell me why you are the one to be our mayor.
Well, I bring to the table dedication to my hometown, Scottsdale, as you mentioned in the outset. I'm a native of the Valley and a lifelong Scottsdale resident. Born and raised here, very dedicated to my community, want to see it progress and move into the future in the best, most quality way, respecting historically the character of our area and looking forward to just a fantastic future, which I firmly believe that we have here in Scottsdale. By way of education, as you mentioned, I am a lawyer, and I've been a lawyer for nearly 25 years. With that, I definitely have the background and the experience to study all of the issues very thoroughly and come to conclusions that I think are balanced. And I am an advocate as well, as part of my experience as in litigation, trial attorney, if you will, for the last 20 plus years, 25 years. My job for my clients is to advocate, and that's what I intend to be for the city. Taking that just a little bit further, I do have, I think you mentioned, as you mentioned in the intro, I was on the city council I was elected in 2008, and so I did one term, 4 years. During that time, as you all recall, that was in the midst, really, of the Great Recession. And I certainly had a lot of experience during my term on the city council, bringing our city forward out of a huge economic and budgetary crisis, and made some really tough decisions, some structural changes at the city level, which I'm very proud of. And I'll just leave it at that for now.
Yeah, well, like I said, we're having a conversation, so sometimes you say something and I'll just pick up on it. It's interesting that you're coming back around. Are we to assume that perhaps this is your fault?
What's my fault?
No, I'm just kidding. The last time you were in city politics, we had, no, you made some tough decisions. What would you say, looking back, was there any decisions you made on the council that you maybe would say, man, I don't want to do that again, or I might have done that a little differently? How has there been growth?
I'm very proud of significant decisions that I made, and we can get into that as time permits. One decision that, looking back, I struggle with, but I don't regret because it was ultimately still a good result, is there was a project called Blue Sky. And at the time, it was, one of the first it was in fact the first high-rise proposal that came forth. And it was at the corner of Scottsdale and Camelback Road. And I was concerned about the height, density, the location. It's essentially the golden gold of Scottsdale, those two cross streets, and having a vision for what I saw Scottsdale, how I saw Scottsdale progressing, redeveloping, developing. It didn't really fit within that vision, but they did. At the time, applicants tend to count or predict their votes and maybe shore up commitments from council members. At the time, the applicant believed that they had 4 votes. I believed that they had 4 votes, meaning a majority. Even though I was not in favor of the overall project, they wanted my vote too, and I took that as an opportunity. Of course they did, because they wanted to be sure they got passed. But I took that as an opportunity to work really, really hard with the applicant at the time to bring the parties together that were opposed to it, one adjacent landowner in particular, and many of the downtown and Old Town Scottsdale residents. And we came together, I remember, in my law office in the conference room, and really just like a mediation setting, really arm twisted, moved some things, peeled some things back, density, height. There was a creation of more open space, more amenities for the community. And in the end, I pressed to get the applicant to do things that were, in my opinion, even notwithstanding that I believed it was a foregone conclusion that they would get approved, we were able to really make some improvements in the overall project that they were proposing, and I ended up voting yes. So while I don't regret that decision, because I think it bettered the project for the development project for the area, as you may or may not know, that ended up not going forward because the developer was not prepared to move forward in the end financially, I believe, although I can't be sure of that. That's my guess. So that's an example of both a decision that I didn't want to make, but there's an opportunity to make tough decisions and get better results in that setting.
Yeah, sometimes you're not going to get the perfect meal, right? You got to make chopped liver into something fancy. It sounds like you took lemons and made it into lemonade.
Yeah, agreed.
Yeah. So Julie has a question, kind of going off of that. What do you find as your most fulfilling accomplishment, right?
That's a tough one. Is that the question? Yeah. That's a tough question to answer with just one. I'm going to tell you about some highlights. I led the charge when I first got elected on the city treasurer position. City treasurer was not a charter officer before I took office, and just in keeping with my my idea about openness, transparency, and accountability, I thought, I believe that the city treasurer should have independence from the city manager and report directly to the city council. And so we were successful in getting, majority approval to transition that position into a charter officer. And there was significant opposition because that was a major structural change. Kind of flowing from that also in the financial, on the budget side, transparency, accountability, et cetera. I also brought forward and we were instrumental in adopting or impaneling, I should say, the Citizens Budget Commission. And at the time, in the budgetary crisis, and each council member had an appointment for one budget commissioner. And it really worked out great because we had that kind of, back and forth oversight of citizens studying in great detail what was going on with with all the facets of the budget. So that was a very big accomplishment, I believe. And I would, by the way, I look forward to bringing that back immediately upon taking office, looking for council support for that. And then thirdly, I was, as a board member on the Convention and Visitors Bureau, which is now Experience Scottsdale, I was a very big advocate and still am for tourism in our city. I think it's, what Scottsdale exports is a great experience. And as part of that, there was it became apparent, this was pre-rideshare, it became apparent that tourists that came to our city really had no way to get, traverse back and forth for events like the Barrett Jackson or, the golf tournament or, all the things, the Arabian Horse Show, all the things that people travel to our city to do. And of course, they also travel to our city to enjoy the fabulous restaurants, and, they go out at night, and DUIs are, we're very strict on that, and as we should be. But we didn't have a real mechanism other than, call a cab back in those days to get people back and forth. So I came up with the idea of the hospitality trolley, and that started in, South Scottsdale and went all the way up to the Princess Hotel. But what I'm most proud of about that accomplishment is I'm most proud of the fact that it was a public-private partnership, and I was instrumental, really single-handedly, in working with the hoteliers and the event producers to have them contribute to a portion of the cost. And I don't recall the split, but I think it was 50-50 city and or maybe a little less on the city side. And we collected a lot of money to support that. It was great. I was real proud of that accomplishment.
Well, I really like that. I mean, to be quite honest, I don't know if everything has to kind of make money or even has to wash out, because that really is an investment in our city and in taking care of the people that bring a lot of money. Sometimes those things can't be measured.
Agreed. And
Yeah.
it was really twofold, as you can imagine, because, I've heard this, I'm sure you've heard this, tourists come to our city and they leave with a DUI. So, I mean, those are people that will likely not return, if they have a really bad experience here. And nor should we encourage people going out and being on the streets in that condition. But again, to your point, I think the measuring stick is for every tourist, that comes, they spend 7 times the amount of their hotel room or their stay. And so it's a big deal. You want to promote tourism.
It absolutely is. And I love that you talked about bringing people together, because I think when times are tough, like we're going to go into a very difficult budget decisions, this process, the more people you bring in, even if they're not the ideas you use, the fact that they're being heard, the fact that you have that back and forth, it might go slower, but you'll get much more buy-in. And I think that was true when you talked about getting that budget committee together with one person for representing each council member.
Right, exactly. And, having the citizens involved is a big part of my platform, and it's very, very important to me. I think you alleviate, to a large extent, the, kind of the upheaval that we saw at the recent referendum when the 17,000 signatures sought to overturn the council's decision. I think really, the more that you can diffuse people being upset and feeling like they've not got what they wanted out of the end result. And my favorite thing to say as a lawyer is an effective mediation is when really everyone leaves unhappy. To a certain extent, it's just like you said, not a perfect recipe, or not, everyone's not going to get what they want, but really the goal is to make, everyone feel heard.
Yeah. So we're talking with mayoral candidate Lisa Borowsky. She's got a Y on the end, and it's not Borowsky, even though maybe you want to switch that to an I just for the whole campaign season, then kind of go back. Ski? No? Okay. Anyway, if you have questions for Lisa Borowsky, please type them into the bar there. We're not endorsing each other's candidacies here, but we're having a conversation, and you're welcome to join us as well. Hey, Lisa, I want to touch on something that you mentioned just then, which was the tourism and the fact that, people come here, they don't want a bad experience. Are you concerned at all about the light that Scottsdale is being portrayed in? I mean, here's my problem, and it's not my problem. I should reword that. Here's my concern. I see Arizona leading the league in the COVID talk right now because we're just exploding. So we're getting this national attention. And when they focus the national attention, they focus on beautiful Scottsdale because it is beautiful. And we have this downtown, and now they're showing the pictures of the bars with people not socially distancing and not having masks. And, you and I were young once. I can't blame them, right? We were like that. But are you concerned at all, like I am, that perhaps Scottsdale might be getting an image that's a little darker than we deserve?
I don't feel like we're getting, a negative impression out there that we can't survive and recover from. I mean, unfortunately, all areas of our country have been severely impacted. We can't, certainly as a state, we've done our best. I think we've done, a good job at trying to implement the CDC recommendations and, have the restaurants closed for a certain period of time, only essential businesses. And I think it's to be expected when, when everything opens up, there's going to be some form of a surge. I do believe in personal responsibility for individuals. I think, our citizens have done a great job protecting themselves and protecting others. I think that it's incumbent upon business owners to do the same thing, institute best practices. One of the things I thought of, certainly everyone's listening to doctors and, researchers all over the country, including in the state. Arizona, we're relying on their expertise. But one thing, I might look at, depending on how this moves forward, come getting at the time of taking office, would be to have an educational section of the city staff, maybe 1, 2, 3 people that goes around and does, forums or educational series for restaurants, bars, just to make sure everyone's really has the information up to date, and do it at no charge, because it's a community service, and have people dedicated to that while this lasts. I think it's unfair to spotlight Scottsdale. I know those individuals that run those bars and restaurants in the entertainment district. I think it's the outgrowth of having so many people who may not be as careful as they should be during that period of time. But I think now they're taking precautions. I had a conversation with one owner recently. I mean, they were taking precautions, but I don't mean to say that they were not, but I think they're increasing those precautions, and they understand the issue. And we're just gonna have to see how this plays out and do the best we can.
I think, yeah, I agree to some extent. I think we as leaders can do better to kind of say, hey, wear a mask, I'm wearing a mask. I think we can come out with a kind of a campaign that brings all together. I'm really disturbed at how this has become a right-left kind of issue. It's an either
Agreed.
or. I think we can agree that when you sneeze, I'll say bless you. And when I say bless you, it's not a matter of me saying, oh, you are a God-fearing person. It's just me being nice to you and
Right.
saying, oh, that's common courtesy. I think wearing a mask is common courtesy as well. And I would like it if people didn't give dirty looks to those who are wearing it. We can have a good old game, come to Scottsdale, right across, a little smile right on the mask, we can do stuff. Anyway, when you have a mask on, it's really tough to lick a doorknob too.
There you go.
Hey, so we do have, we got, as you were talking about that not proposition, it was, what was SB2? Got 17,000 signatures or something, there was an issue.
Yeah.
Didn't work so well. Yeah, we've got a pretty divided group right now in our city. How do you bring divergent groups together? I mean, you did talk a lot about mediation and all. What would you bring from your practice into your leadership that kind of would bring us all together a little bit?
I think this was one of my strong suits when I was on the council. It's really researching the issues, knowing all the ins and outs of what's coming before the council and what we're deciding on, and strategy. Really, how do you best bring your case or application or initiative forward? Not meaning mine, but an applicant in this case. How do you create the strategy to most effectively prepare the matter, what it is we're trying to get through at the city level, and package it really to have a successful result, attempting to diffuse the opposition, include them, diffuse them by including them, participation. And then, you really find the hot buttons and make sure we're doing what's best for the citizens, business owners, and our city. I think one complaint we have is that from citizens that are opposed to projects like this is the infrastructure. I think that they're concerned that there's not the traffic or the parking or the infrastructure that is coming, putting the cart before the horse. Getting these projects approved before we're making sure they're sustainable in the community. And so that's something I would really be careful of moving forward.
Okay. Education. Big issue with me. I've taught forever, it seems. Actually retired a little bit early to focus on this race. But education is really so important to every community, and it's especially important to Scottsdale. Part of the reason we have such high home values is because of the excellent education system we have. Now, we have two separate entities for people out there. We have a Scottsdale School Board that oversees the Scottsdale Unified School District. PV has the same, Cave Creek has the same, and the budgeting is very different. But do you see any way for there to be some synergy moving forward? Because we are interconnected.
So this is a great question. This is a fabulous question.
Thank you.
I am on the foundation board of the Charros, Scottsdale Charros organization, and I've been on the board now for, I think I'm going into my second year. It's been a fabulous experience. We are very focused at the Charros, philanthropically, for raising money for schools, for after-school programs, for scholarships, for uniforms, for you know, just to really supplement and enhance the Scottsdale school system.
The Charros have been wonderful for our schools for a very long time. Shout out to them.
Yes, and so, you know, and it's interesting, back when I was on the council, my daughter was much, much younger. I grew up in Scottsdale schools. I know the issues firsthand that I think we struggle with. And while the city, and I think there is a tendency to be rather hands-off on the school system for city council, elected city council members, because we don't govern it. But with the takeaway from really my experience as a mom, as you know, a city council member formerly, as a Charros board member, is the mayor, as mayor, I would do everything I could to influence a better school system, to work toward those goals, advocate for that. And you know, just because we don't govern it doesn't mean we can't have a big impact on betterment of the schools. And I am absolutely committed to that. I think it's a very big issue.
Great, thank you very much. Another big issue, at least in my family, probably in people you know, today the Supreme Court ruled that an employer who fires an individual merely for being gay or transgender violates Title VII. 6-3 decision. Quite surprising, I think, to some people it was 6-3. I think it was a great day, but we still have work to do, lots of work to do, in my opinion. I want to know where you stand, because there has been a couple of times that the Human Relations Commission, by unanimous consent, before, not while you were on the council, in 2007 and then 2014, tried to get an LGBT ordinance.
Discrimination. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, discrimination. Thank you very much for that. So right now, I mean, these folks can still be discriminated with housing, restaurants, hotels, adoption, all these things. Do you support, or where do you stand on, if you're mayor, putting forward what was recommended a couple of times already? Is it time?
I don't believe in discrimination on any level. Okay, I think that you know, carving out every group to have a separate protection is, I think that's the struggle, right? You know, at what point I'm a single mom, you know, is there a protection for that? Hopefully, I don't believe in any discrimination, and I don't think that's the same thing, although, you know, some people might disagree with that depending on their personal experience. I do believe, you know, there is protection, anti-discrimination laws, and especially in the employment setting, you know, you cannot discriminate against protected classes. I think that I think it's a, you know, it's a complicated issue, but I don't believe in discrimination on any level, and it should not be tolerated. I'm blessed to be surrounded by people that where I don't see that happening. I recognize it does happen, and it should be dealt with on a case-by-case basis.
Okay, well, thank you for that answer. For me, if anybody's watching, I fully support an anti-discrimination law at the state level. I think that's where it belongs, and at the national level. What I'd like to do now is revisit our past, if we may. First of all, Lisa, will you tell us your website for people that didn't get questions answered or want more information
Thank you for reminding me. I always forget the website, standupforscottsdale.com.
Stand Up for Scottsdale. Is it a four? Is it a four or is it spelled out?
It's all spelled out. Standupforscottsdale.com. And if you lose that, it's Lisa for mayor, all spelled out. They all go to the same place.
Wow. Double dipper. That's a smart one right there. Redirect. Okay, so you and I, as I said, I've been a teacher for a long time. And when I first started teaching, I was already working in the restaurant business. And when I became a teacher, I still needed to work in the restaurant business. So I was doing a lot of work in restaurants. And lo and behold, I was at the first Zite house over there at the old Fashion Square. It was a hoot and a half. And we used to have a great happy hour. And happy hour was $1 off margaritas, and all appetizers were half price. And we had some great appetizers. If I remember correctly, I think you liked the quesadilla with the smoked chicken. But I digress. You also like the nachos. Lisa Borowsky used to camp out on the patio holding court with all of the young boys who were waiting tables, going around, taking care of Lisa. It is true. Then she'd have people come and sit at the table. No, they were all smitten. Come on, let's except for me, not me. I wasn't one of those guys.
The good old days.
Anyway, Lisa, it was really good then, when life was a little easier. But I do trust your judgment on food and drink. So I'm going to ask you a few questions. I want to get the lowdown on where Lisa Borowsky goes to water, the watering hole as well as the feeding trough. So I know that you are a horse person, so that's why I use that analogy. That is what you like to do in your spare time, right? Horses?
Yeah, that's good stuff, Eric. That was very crafty.
Thank you. Crafty it was. All right, let's get down to it right now. Where's the best happy hour in Scottsdale? Now, I should probably say, I am forcing Lisa to answer. She does not dislike any other happy hour. I am making her tell me the best happy hour. It's just right now. So what's the best happy hour?
For the record, I was studying for the bar exam back then on the patio at Zite House.
That's right.
That's what I was doing.
You made believe you were studying with Chambord Marks.
No.
That was
I
great.
was studying. Yeah. I can tell you. Call my friend Brad Wright. I was giving him bar review books.
And then Ernie would put a floater on there. Remember?
That's right. In any event, and to answer that question, these days there's no time for happy hour. Jeez, and it's been closed. Everything's been closed. So, in terms of I don't know, best happy hour. Let's see. I never seem to get there on time. I would have to say, in keeping with our friends at Zite House, Roaring Fork is well known. I met someone over there, and I did get there early enough for the first time in as long as they've been open ever. It opens at 4, right? That's what time they open. They literally have, even as early as this past Friday, with all that's going on, they have a crowd of people, at the gate, breaking the. I was like, "Are you kidding me? This is amazing!" So anyway, I think they are. I don't want to say this online because I don't want the competition, but I think they are hands down probably the happy hour kings over there.
Okay, I'm going to counter with, and I really like this just because I'm a hound dog for food, is the Yard House. I can go all day with that pokey stack for half price. So, and I do like the beer. So, and they're both pretty close to the same location right there. Yours is at Highland and Scottsdale Road.
Exactly.
Perfect. Yeah. Okay. Are you ready to move on in the delectable categories?
I just want to say I'm a big supporter of all restaurants. So I'm not singling this one out, but I'm a big restaurant person. I know you are too.
And I would like to say I'm a big supporter of all happy hours. No, I'm a big supporter of restaurants. And again, I'm forcing Lisa to make a choice. I mean, nobody's getting their feelings here. Okay, all right, very good. Okay, so this is for me, for my benefit, because I'm a cheap guy. Where's the best place to get something for under $12? A meal for under $12.
For under $12, my kitchen.
Yeah.
I can honestly get a meal for under $12 anywhere, especially if you're talking happy hour. I don't know the answer to this. Let me think. It's not Chick-fil-A. I get that for my daughter, and it's just over that. I don't know, probably a salad at Metropolis, which is downstairs. Downstairs from my office and my residence. It's at the Optima Camel View.
Wow, really?
Yeah,
I'm gonna go with the spicy beef, Thai basil beef from the Thai House on Shea Boulevard by Chaparral High School.
that sounds great. I'm writing that one down. What's the
Under
name of
10
that place?
bucks. The Thai House.
Oh, okay.
Under
I love
$10. And here's the thing, Lisa, if you get like, like an Asian food dish with beef and stuff, sometimes you get those chewy pieces, the grizzly pieces.
Oh my God.
No grizzle. I mean, I've never ordered beef anywhere like that. And this thing is to die for. Anyway,
Good
under
to
10
know.
bucks. Under 10 bucks. Okay. How about the best burger? Where do you go for the best burger?
Oh my gosh, I feel like a groupie. Our same friend, Z Tejas, Hop Daddy.
Yeah, I do like the Hop Dottie.
DJ, are you doing this on purpose?
No, that's fine. The Hop Dottie, I do like that. I would get the one with the poblano chili on there.
I get the spicy one, the jalapeno, or whatever it is. Habanero, I think, is in it. I don't know. It's really, really good.
All right. How about you're just going to go out and get a cocktail?
I don't. I'm too little. I have to eat. I really can't unless
Okay.
I'm.
Tell me the
It has to
cocktail
be
you're going to
food.
get with. What's the cocktail you're ordering with your food?
Frozen margarita.
Okay.
Oh.
With a Chambord floater? Okay. How about sushi? Where do you go for sushi?
I like sushi roku a lot.
Okay.
At the W.
Yeah, that's a little bit out of my range. Have you tried Sushi Sen?
Yes, I like that a lot. I'm a big sushi fan. I love Kona. I love Kona Girl.
Okay.
It's all expensive. I mean, no offense, it's worth it, but it's all really expensive.
Okay, I'm gonna make one last dish effort for Sushi Sen. They got a chunky spicy tuna roll for $5.
That's a good deal, and it's really good.
And it's delicious. It's a spicy tuna roll that's big enough by itself, and then they put chunks of tuna on top. It's like
So good.
manna from heaven. Oh,
Agreed. It's really, really good there. I agree with you.
yeah. Okay.
Sakana. Don't forget Sakana.
Where's over there on Indian Bend?
Yeah, that's a crowd favorite. If you haven't tried that,
Yeah, right around the corner there, kind of.
it's economical. It's a little far from me right now, but it's economical, affordable, and really, really good.
Okay, this is my last food question for you, Lisa
I'm
Borowsky.
getting hungry.
I know, it's getting to be our feeding time, right? Here's my last question for you. It's not about a restaurant, but if you were on death row and you had the last meal, what would it be? What would your entree be?
I just get one.
That's it. Hey, you're on death row. You haven't been a good girl.
I don't want to answer this question. I probably would skip it. I don't know. Sorry. Have you ever heard that before?
I would have my grandmother's meatloaf.
You would. I got to think hard. I'd probably have something sweet, like some really good cake.
Oh, okay. So you're going to go dessert for the entree. Very nice. Off the board, out of the box. Okay, so let's wrap this up. Lisa Borowsky, it's been a pleasure. You are one of 5 mayoral candidates. Please check it out at standupforscottsdale.com. That's the website. She's been a lifelong resident here, does some good things from what she said. You'll have to check it out yourself. Make sure you vote. August 4th is the vote. Get out there, get active. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you. Thank you, Eric.
My pleasure.
All right. It's been a pleasure.
Yeah. Take care of yourself and good luck.
Thank you so much.